So I've spent a week with the Apple MacBook Pro M2 Pro 14-inch model, and there's some things that I absolutely love about this laptop. There's some things that are so frustrating, so overwhelming and annoying. I like stumble over my words because I'm like, why is this not doing what it needs to be doing? Okay. So let's get into the things that I don't like first, then we'll transition into the happy portion of this video, and I hope by the end you can make a qualified buying decision on yes or no for this laptop. Now, first and foremost, I bought this myself from Best Buy when they initially did the pre-release of the laptop. So I ordered it before it was available, became available, it shipped. So nobody purchased this laptop for me or sent it to me or is even sponsoring this video. Okay, that's the first thing to note. The second thing to note is that the battery life is actually pretty close to Apple's promised battery life. I got about 12 hours of productivity battery life. It was like 11 hours and 49 minutes, and then about 16 hours of streaming video playback. From there, it kind of teetered down through Photoshop work and video editing playback, which actually dropped off substantially. I thought we'd get better battery life using those photo editing, graphic design, and digital art tools inside of the Adobe Creative Cloud Design Suite or Creative Suite. Things like Photoshop, InDesign, and Illustrator. However, we did not. And then in Premiere Pro, the playback battery life sucked down rather quickly. Sucked down? Don't really like how that sounds. It like diminished very quickly. So the battery life was good by all measures of comparing a Apple laptop to a Windows laptop. But if we're comparing a Apple laptop getting better, it didn't necessarily get better. Now, as I've talked about on my channel before, the beauty of an Apple laptop is you can run at full performance and still get great battery life. When it comes to a Windows laptop, like something like the Asus ZenBook here, you might not be getting full performance of the laptop when you're unplugged from the charger because it needs the power from the wall to run the system at its maximum performance. Apple does not struggle with that. They've optimized their components to run at full performance on battery power. Okay, the next thing that really kind of frustrated me was I needed this dongle, okay? I'm somebody who loves to use a mouse, especially for video editing, and there is no USB Type-A. So many times, devices have still USB Type-A because we haven't got to USB Type-C for things like mice and external keyboards and things that I use every day in my daily life. So I had to buy a nice little dongle to plug in what I wanted to use. A little pesky, a little annoying. However, you have to use a dongle anyway for something like this. And then somebody might say, well, just get an Apple Magic mouse and it's Bluetooth and then you're done. Or maybe use a mouse on Bluetooth. But if you don't have that opportunity, any peripheral you want to use that's USB Type-A is now unusable until you get a little dongle. The third thing we're gonna get into is the performance. And this is where I have really, really great praises for this laptop, and I've got a lot of beef with this laptop. Now, first and foremost, for you designers, digital artists, photographers, this is a fantastic laptop. The M2 Pro over the M1 Pro saw a 50% increase in performance. So when I tested the Photoshop Puget Systems benchmark on the M1 Pro in 2021, I saw a score of 709. Still a great score for that time. Now, when I tested the latest 2023 M2 Pro, I saw a score of 1,075. As Apple promised, that was a 50% increase in performance for photo editing. Okay, thank you, Apple. Promise confirmed. Now, as we got into After Effects, we only saw about a 17% increase in performance. We saw about a 951 for the M1 Pro, and now we're seeing a 1,115. Still a good increase, but nothing to write home about. Okay, now where I have a little bit of a problem with this laptop is going to start with 4K video editing. For the playback, we have no concerns. This can play back multiple 4K clips in a timeline with 0 drop frames. In fact, it can even play back 6K in the timeline of Premiere Pro with 0 drop frames. The issue is when you go to export that footage, it bottlenecks, and it's like shockingly bottlenecked. The average export time for your run-of-the-mill Windows gaming laptop, which is what I review a lot of on my channel here, is anywhere from about the 3-minute and 10-second range, which is still actually pretty solid for a 9-minute 4K clip exported to 4K out of Premiere Pro, all the way down to about the 2-minute and 36-second export time, which is the Lenovo Legion 5i Pro. Best export time I've ever seen on my channel. The new MacBook Pro M2 Pro 14-inch model takes 5 minutes and 26 seconds, which is actually 5 seconds slower than the M1 Pro from 2 years ago. This is where I started to get frustrated because this isn't a very hard computational task. It's 4K footage, which we've been using for the past 5 years, and it's still taking this laptop almost 5 minutes and 30 seconds. Okay, moving on from there, you're thinking, okay, Ben, why are you frustrated? That's actually 3 minutes slower than your average Windows laptop. Now, you might say, okay, Ben, but for that, the Apple can run on battery power and export that fast. Okay, but so can the Lenovo Legion 5i Pro. Okay, if we want to compare oranges to apples or apples to apples or however the heck you want to say it, on bounce mode, hybrid, battery only for the Lenovo Legion 5i Pro, which exported at full performance at 2 minutes and 36 seconds, on battery power, it still exported faster at 4 minutes and 51 seconds. So the Windows laptop is just as powerful and power efficient. Oh, and hold on. I missed it. That was the wrong one. On iGPU mode, which means it's only using the CPU, on quiet mode, hybrid only, it exported in 3 minutes and 19 seconds. Okay, so now you're telling me that Apple is faster than Windows on battery only. It's officially incorrect, 100% incorrect. Not only is the Windows Lenovo Legion 5i Pro faster, it's also faster on battery only, not even using the GPU. Okay. I am not trying to Windows fanboy. I wanted and I want to love this laptop, but this performance, it seems unreasonable. Okay, let's get farther down the rabbit hole. Okay, next I want to look at the 6K playback and export times. Okay, this is an area I was pretty happy with. As far as the 6K playback out of this laptop, it dropped 9 frames for 6K B-RAW and 3,253 frames for red footage, okay? My beloved Lenovo Legion 5i Pro dropped 339 frames for B-RAW and 3,548 frames for red footage. Okay, so right now it's like, okay, looks like Apple's performing better, right? Great playback. Thumbs up. Okay, the issue I have here is we went to export that footage. When we go to export that footage, I was unable to export my standard export test, which is to take a 6K B-RAW 9-minute clip and then to export it at the matched resolution. So that would be like, I think it's like 6144 by something else, right? It's 6K resolution. It was unable to do that in less than an hour. Okay. So I said, okay, fine. Like, let's just try and make this work a little bit better here. So what I had to do was I had to go ahead and export 6K footage to 4K. Okay, so I export 6K footage to 4K. On the Legion 5i Pro, it can export 6K to 6K in 14 minutes and 43 seconds. It took the Apple MacBook Pro M2 Pro 25 minutes and 51 seconds to export 6K to 4K. And like I said, it would have taken well over an hour to export 6K to 6K. This to me is like, what is going on? Why is the performance doing this? And as a side note, while we're talking about the MacBook Pro and the Legion series, Lenovo sent over 3 Lenovo Legion 5 Pros for us to give away when we pass 100,000 subscribers. So make sure you subscribe, ring the bell so you don't miss out on the giveaway. And that's not because I'm a Windows fanboy. I'm just letting you know in case you're like, wow, I didn't realize the Legion performed better. I didn't want it to. I want this computer to perform like a pro. And also that's why I've made 2 other videos. What is the actual cost you have to pay as a pro to get into a MacBook Pro? Like, not the base model. We're finding out that the base model is not as pro as we had hoped. And then the second video is why I think you should actually buy the M1 Pro or the M1 Max from 2 years ago. So definitely check out those 2 videos at the end of this video. Now, as I'm ranting, this laptop is seemingly perfect for the initial designer, photographer, digital artist, right? You saw the results in Photoshop. We saw a 50% increase in performance in Photoshop. So this is a fantastic laptop for that type of creator. However, so is the M2 MacBook Pro 13-inch for $1299, right? We're not getting that much more performance by going M2 Pro. So I don't understand who this laptop was actually built for. If the MacBook Pro 13-inch M2 is as powerful as the MacBook Pro M2 Pro, you don't get that much more performance because you're not using all that GPU performance, because you're not video editing if you're a digital artist, graphic designer, or photographer. So I'm trying to figure out who this one is for, and I mistakenly bought it. Okay, now let's talk about some things that I love, because it's been a bit of a rant on the things that I don't like, but I wanted to just show just the clear data on why I wanted to love this laptop, but it's frustrating me. Okay, first and foremost, the speakers on this laptop are phenomenal. If you're somebody who loves to listen to music while creating, then you've got a beautiful, beautiful sound experience. And so I'm gonna give you a quick sample of the speakers as well as the webcam, because the webcam is second to none on this laptop with that 1080p webcam. So here's a sample of both of those so you can see. This is the webcam on the Apple MacBook Pro 14-inch M2, and a little sample of the audio for you as well. Now, next would be the keyboard. This is absolutely my favorite keyboard that I have ever used on a laptop. It even tops the original scissor switch. I feel like after they had the whole debacle with the butterfly switch keyboard a couple of years ago, this really redeemed them. It's so smooth, it's so snappy, it's so satisfying. It just works really well. Now, I did notice quite a bit of fingerprints on the keys themselves. I have quite oily fingers, and so it shows up pretty quickly. And so that was one thing that was a bit annoying, was all the fingerprints that show up on the actual keys of the keyboard. So you gotta, kind of wipe that down every now and then. But otherwise, it's great. And of course, the trackpad. The trackpad is phenomenal. Now, one thing I kind of got annoyed with from time to time is the dragging function. Like if I wanted to do like 2 fingers and drag, it would kind of be weird. But it doesn't happen really when I want it to. It only happens when I don't want it to. So, but the keyboard is very sensitive. It's really responsive, but there is kind of a weird glitch occasionally with dragging objects. And then also like right clicking. So if you like do 2 fingers, you can right click. And sometimes I accidentally, oh, there it was. So like, look, if I want to like move my mouse, but I accidentally have 2 fingers on the trackpad, the cursor doesn't move. See if you can see that. So like my cursor is right here. So like if I have 2 fingers accidentally on the trackpad, the cursor won't move. And so that's kind of annoying, because like sometimes I'm just like, wait, why did that not work? Again, little ticks, little nuances. I'm not going to overly complain about that, but I did find it annoying because I never have that issue with like a Windows laptop or really just older MacBook Pros. My wife has a 2014 MacBook Pro that still works great. I love it. And I never really have that issue. So just kind of a weird nuance with the non-mechanical trackpad. Okay, the ultra portable build quality of this laptop is second to none. This thing is thin, light, perfectly refined, beautiful to hold and look at. You got some nice ventilation here on the bottom of the chassis. And those fans do kick on while doing that 6K video editing export. But otherwise, I didn't hear any fan noise. Overall, it runs very cool and quiet. However, during the 6K, fans are kicking on, like I said, and it does get a little bit warm because it's processing all of that raw footage. Mentioned the ports earlier, but of course, just as a recap, you have your MagSafe power adapter, 2 USB Type-Cs, and a headphone jack on the left side. And on the right side, we have an HDMI, USB Type-C, and an SD card reader. So you almost have all the ports you need. What you're missing, of course, is that USB Type-A. There is a whole lot more I need to say about this laptop. So as I mentioned, I filmed separate videos to kind of keep my thoughts organized. Definitely click or tap the screen there, and I'll see you over in one of those videos.